At the Zamzam camp in the city of El Fasher in southern Sudan, a young mother in her early 30s sits in a corner with her two children, and the youngest of about 2 years old cuddled on his mother's lap as the older child stares far into a bleak and uncertain horizon as famine and hunger cut short the lives of many Sudanese as a result of a lingering conflict and environmental disaster. The same is true about the plights of the people of Ukraine, especially women and children, as hunger and famine ravage a region known for its grain production and export since the war broke out 2 years ago. In similar nations like Eritrea, the Food and Agriculture Organization reports that 60% of the population of Eritrea do not have enough nourishment. Delivering food and nutrition to the displaced people of Gaza faces some challenges as hunger and famine overwhelm those in the camp across the region. We have witnessed people running to their death as they chase after foodstuffs dropped from the sky from airplanes. Also, on our neighborhoods and cities are the sites of hunger and poor nutrition among struggling families and our growing homeless population. It is in this context, steeped in the experiences and challenges of hunger, starvation, malnutrition, and food shortage, one of the basic necessities of life, that we hear the summons from Prophet Elisha to give the people food to eat, and the determination of Jesus Christ to buy enough food to feed the crowd. Resultantly, we hear from the first reading and the gospel that both Prophet Elisha and Jesus Christ turned an insufficient quantity of food into a more than enough nourishment for a crowd of hungry people. Both the servant of Prophet Elisha and Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, expressed deep concern about the insufficiency of the available food items as they spiritedly tried to avoid an embarrassment for Prophet Elisha and Jesus Christ, respectively. Practically, they both discerned the disproportion between available resources and human need. But Prophet Elisha and Jesus Christ perceived the proportion of available resources from the generosity of the man from Shalisha and the young boy with 5 belly loaves and 2 fish, respectively. In this extraordinary experience of the feeding of hundreds of people with a very little quantity of food, as the stories indicate, the power of God's providence to nourish the children of God is manifested. The prayers we say over meals when we gather at dinner table in gratitude to God for the nourishment we have received, and also as an invocation of God's providential care over our well-being, have profound implication for our bodily and spiritual nourishment, just as Prophet Elisha literally received God's assurances of nourishment for the crowd who will be fed with the gifts from the man from Shalisha. And Jesus Christ received God's blessing as Jesus Christ prayed over the young boy's 5 belly loaves and 2 fish. The generosity of the man from Shalisha and the young boy with 5 belly loaves and 2 fish to willingly place their apparently insufficient food items into the hands of Prophet Elisha and Jesus Christ for the nourishment of a crowd of hungry people without any hesitation is an inspiring reminder to us of the true meaning of the gospel invitation to kind-heartedness and generosity. They share their food not from a place of abundance and plenty, but rather from a place of deep connection with the humanity of the famished crowd who are about to benefit from their benevolence. In fact, these two remind us that we can make an impactful difference in the lives of people, not always from a place of abundant resources, more so from our limited resources. As you know, the feeling of uncertainty about the insufficiency of available resources did not come from the benefactors of the crowds, but rather the vocal expression of the insufficiency and the inadequacy of available resources came from the servant of Prophet Elisha and from Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter. In the gospel, Jesus quickly discerned the impending decision of the crowd to make him their leader on account of the provision of sufficient nourishment for them. The plan of the crowd revealed the central place food security occupies in our daily lives. In other words, what Jesus did for the crowd in the gospel, just as Elisha in the first reading, to supply one of the basic necessities of life by invoking God's abundant favor, merit, leadership recognition from the crowd. This Sunday, the church presents us with the invitation to make an impact on our communities by working towards ending hunger with our little resources. Whatever we can do to make sure that no one more person goes to bed hungry or dies from starvation is our response to the gospel invitation to be our sisters and or our brother's keeper by sharing the resources of the earth that God has placed on our hands. The examples of the man from Shalisha and the young boy with 5 belly loaves and 2 fish demand that what they did for their communities, we also should do in our communities and in the world by entering into solidarity with those who are hungry and starving around us.